Hello everyone, hi, my name is Anthony Cortez and this is a Gen Z ranking of the Genesis studio albums. Genesis is a legendary progressive rock, pop rock act from 1970s to 1980s, consisting of Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, Steve Hackett, Mike Rutherford, Tony Banks. Of course, later on in their career, it was just the three of them. Phil Collins leaves in 92 or 94, whatever it is. They get Ray Wilson, but we don't like to talk about that. Now, I grew up listening to a lot of rap music, a lot of soul music, later on listening to rock music. So when I first heard Genesis in 2019, playing Grand Theft Auto 4, hearing Mama on Liberty City Rock Radio, I was like, yeah, I gotta check this shit out. Tell me what your favorite album is and what your least favorite album is, because my list is gonna be a little controversial. Let's get into it. Number 15 is Calling All Stations. I think everybody can agree that this is their worst record. Even critics agree. This is when Phil Collins had left the band right after We Cant Dance, and this album just doesn't work. You know, you get a new singer in Ray Wilson, who's just a fine singer. He's got a great, cool, grungy voice, but you don't create music to cater to his voice. The synth tones on here are not good. The production's not good. Mike Rutherford's guitar tone is pretty poor. I mean, Shipwrecked is awful. Congo is okay. I mean, barely okay. Calling All Stations is... I like that song, but the guitar tone on it is... it's like a Fender practice amp, I swear. Yeah, pretty forgettable. Don't bother. Number 14, From Genesis to Revelation. I can understand why people would like this record. You know, it has a folkiness quality to it, but it isn't Genesis. This is officially their first record, but Jonathan King produced it and he does a weird job. He did interviews basically saying, he's like, I don't work well with artists who want to do what they want. I tell the artists what to do and I want them to do what I tell them to do. And that doesn't work for Genesis. Not really prog, more like folk, pop. Peter Gabriel's voice sounds good though. Forgettable. Number 13, We Cant Dance. Man, what a mindfuck of a record. The few songs on this that are good are fucking awesome. Okay, No Son of Mine is this great emotional pop song with Phil Collins singing his heart out, the emotional lyrics about this kid who wants love from his dad because he ran away when he was younger, but the dad tells him, you know, you're no son of mine, and, you know, it hurts the character that Phil's playing, it hurts him to the heart. Great production on this, I'm not gonna lie. Like, some of the songs, the production on here is great. And then some songs, it's fucking awful. I like Jesus, He Knows Me. It's this really upbeat, fun take on evangelical, you know, Christians on TV, which is a concept that's very easy to make fun of. But it's fun, and Phil Collins sounds great. I also really like some of the ballads on here, like Hold On My Heart is this beautiful, really foreboding, quiet, atmospheric song. The opening chords of this song are really dissonant, but they feel so right. Beautiful vocal from Phil Collins. Fading Lights is a classic that everybody knows. Fading Lights has that huge, crazy ending and beautiful lyrics. It starts off as a ballad, but then it just grows and grows and grows, and it just explodes, and it's like classic prog. But I think that some of the songs in here are too long. Did we really have to have Since I Lost You on this? Way of the World, terrible. Driving the Last Spike is like, what, 9 minutes for what? The cover's weird. It's like some hospital album art. Not a fan. Next up, Shapes, or the Mama album, or the self-titled album. People consider this a classic. I don't get it. I don't. Mama, of course, is just fucking awesome with the great drum machine and the crazy build up to the drums and Phil Collins singing weird. The laughs, I didn't like at first, but then I realized the laughs are kind of make the song a little more creepy. They're pretty cool. This one had the big hit, you know, That's All. The production is not good, like on the entire album. I just don't like how bright it is. There's no low end. It's very 80s, Hugh Padgham. People love Home by the Sea. I think Home by the Sea is a decent rock song, and then second Home by the Sea just ruins it. It's not good. It's an instrumental of just nothing. It sounds like an NFL broadcast, you know, song. Some of the songs here are half-baked, like Silver Rainbow is really cool. I really like how it starts and the lyrics are really interesting in that chorus. The silver rainbow, the rainbow you will know. That's cool, but then it just doesn't go anywhere, and that sucks because that song had a lot of potential. Illegal Alien has a fun backing track to it, but the lyrics and the performance are like Really? Just a Job to Do is boring. Yeah, not a big fan of this record. Nah. Number 11, Invisible Touch. Their big hit in the United States in 1986. Like what, 4 times platinum, top 10 hits on this record. Like 5 of their songs are in the top 10 on this album, which is hilarious because I have no idea why. Invisible Touch is on this. I hate that song. That song is terrible. I don't understand how that song became a number 1 hit. Land of Confusion is really dark and really heavy. I enjoy that. Domino just doesn't sound good. I don't like the production on it. I think the drums don't sound great. You know, it's Phil Collins. Phil Collins has way too much talent for them to be using a drum machine like that. There's some songs that I do like a lot. Like In Too Deep is this really great love ballad that sounds like a Phil Collins love ballad and probably is a Phil Collins love ballad, but it's still good. Anything she does is really fun, really upbeat. It's kind of like the Jesus He Knows Me of Invisible Touch, but the fucking horns are just so loud and they're too bright. Way too bright. But I like the chorus, you know, I never thought I'd know her. I'll be the cause of anything she does. It's good. It's catchy. I love Throwing It All Away. Holy shit. Like, that's the song on this record that I'll come back to this record to listen to, is Throwing It All Away. Like, everything just comes together. The melody is great. And, you know, when it really kicks in and Phil Collins doing those good shit. Not a big fan of the production. Some of the songs here are really boring. You know, they were supposed to include this song called Do the Neurotica, which sounds way better, and then they include this 3-minute, what are we doing, man? Come on, Tony. Come on, Tony Banks. Phil Collins over singing. Mike Rutherford's kind of whatever on this record. Not a fan. Okay, now we get a little controversial. Sorry, everyone. Number 10, Trespass. This does have the original, you know, Anthony Phillips and John Mayhew. However, I think the production on here is way too muddy. It's not clear enough. Some of the songs here are pretty forgettable. This does have the classic, like The Knife, one of my favorite Genesis songs, Stagnation, you know, about being the only ones left in a nuclear war and taking a dive, a bath in a pool and stuff. But some of the stuff here like Dusk and Vision of Angels, I just, you know, the songwriting just isn't as strong. The album that comes after this is way stronger. The drums are okay, just not as, you know, great. Anthony Phillips, of course, is fantastic. Steve Hackett was the dude for the band. I appreciate why people love Trespass. You know, it has a warm quality to it, very folky, very medieval sounding sometimes, but I just like other albums more. Number 9. And Then There Were Three. Yes, this is after Steve Hackett left the band in 1976. This is more of a shorter song album with, you know, in and out, crazy passages in and out. You know, some of the songs in here are really great. Burning Rope is fantastic. Down and Out is fucking awesome. My favorite song on here, Deep in the Motherlode, is great. The All Along the Wagon section is just fucking beautiful. The Lady Lies is this classic, really crazy song. I love that song. The lyrics are really good. Phil Collins is kind of changing his vocal style. It's starting to get a little better. You know, some of the songwriting here is too much dominated by Tony Banks and too much in the trying of different genres, and it just doesn't work for me personally. A lot of the songs here are great. Some of them are forgettable. Scenes from a Night's Dream is whatever. Ballad of Big, the intro's cool, and then it just kind of goes on its own thing, and it's just not as strong. Of course, it had that hit album, Follow You, Follow Me, that kind of gave them the first real push in the mainstream, so that helped. You know, it's a good album. I recommend, you know, you listen to it once. You know, there's some really good stuff on here. Okay, stop. We have to talk about something now. So we're in the final 8 here, and I just want to let everybody know. 8 all the way to 1 are essential listens. You need to have these records. You need to listen to them because all of them are great in their own right. I'm ranking these now in the perspective of what would I pick off the shelf to listen to first. Saying that, number 8, Foxtrot. Okay, whoa. A lot of the Genesis faithful are like, dude, what the fuck? Listen, I love Foxtrot. I'm saying it's 8, but it doesn't mean it's not good or it's mid or average. No, it's a fantastic record. However, there are 2 songs on here that I tend to skip. And if I'm skipping a song on a record, then that's not a good thing. Watcher of the Skies is a goddamn classic. I remember hearing that for the first time and listening to Phil Collins, and I was like, dude, I have to buy a drum set. I bought my first electric drum set that I use in my videos because of Phil Collins, because I love Watcher of the Skies. That song is so good, and Steve Hackett, just incredible. Tony Banks, Mellotron in the intro, incredible. The rhythm, it's just so cool. And Peter Gabriel's lyrics of Watcher of the Skies, Watcher of All is really cool. It just paints this great picture. His performances are always great. But, songs like Timetable are just kind of whatever to me. I appreciate the last 2 minutes where it's just that sort of piano noodling with the beautiful chords playing over it. That's really nice. But the chorus is, it kind of loses me a bit. Horizons is fine, but as an acoustic guitar piece, it's nothing, in my opinion, it's nothing that's mind-blowing. It's not like, Blood on the Rooftops from Wind and Wuthering. So Supper's Ready, yeah, it's their best song, an entire side of music, but the first side, 2 songs I skip. So, Supper's Ready is 23 minutes, and hell, you gotta take 30 minutes out of your day to listen to that. Still an amazing record. Please buy this. It's fucking essential. Dope ass album cover and great production. Number 7. A Trick of the Tail. Listen, I love Trick of the Tail. However, my same thing with Foxtrot. There's some songs here that I just kind of not the biggest fan of. Robbery, Assault, and Battery is, seen as the black sheep on this record. I like the verses quite a bit. I like that crazy bridge section, but the choruses just don't work for me. And the song just isn't as strong as the other songs on here. I love Entangled. It's beautiful. It has that amazing end to it. Dance on a Volcano is a classic, amazing. I remember listening to that for the first time and my ears were like, holy shit, That last 2 minutes of Dance on a Volcano where it just gets crazy and it speeds up is incredible. Phil Collins, man. It's the first album with Phil Collins on vocals and he does a fine job. He's not the Phil Collins we know, with the power and the grit yet. He's a lot more softer, a lot more subdued, and it works. For songs like Mad Mad Moon, beautiful. Tony Banks, beautiful. Ripple's great. Trick of the Tail, that sort of weirdly folky pop song. I love Trick of the Tail on piano. It's a very beautiful piano piece. Steve Hackett with some tasteful guitar work on that one. Los Andos, the ending track, of course, being just that fucking crazy batshit jazz fusion type thing that we all love. It's sort of the ending overture of the album, referencing passages and stuff. Squonk, I like for the first minute. Listen to the first minute of that song and you've listened to the whole song. I like it, but it's not the best thing on the record. Yeah, number 7, Trick of the Tail. Number 6, Wind and Wuthering. I love that album art, by the way. It's beautiful. Perfectly represents what the album is. This released in the same year as Trick of the Tail, and a lot of people kind of pair them up together. Some people say Trick is better, but I like Wind and Wuthering a little more. I think the sequencing is much stronger. The epics that are on here are some of Genesis's best. You got 11th Earl Lamar with that beautiful rising intro, and then it just goes off. Steve Hackett with that iconic riff where it kind of shifts down a bit, and Phil Collins doing some crazy, great drumming, and his singing is really awesome. Classic song, one for the vine, everybody knows, 10-minute classic. Beautiful bridge section, super experimental with the different noises, the duck sound noise and everything. Love that. Songs like What Gorilla are a pretty cool transition. It's not the best instrumental, but it's a great transition. Your Own Special Way is this really, sweet ballad pop song. All in a Mouse's Night is my second favorite of Genesis's joke songs. They have those songs that are a little more lighthearted, the lyrics a little more lighthearted, but I love the keyboard tones on this, and Steve Hackett's guitar solo at the end is just awesome. He always brings the fucking best. Blood on the Rooftops, Steve Hackett, just amazing guitar work and amazing chorus, amazing lyrics as well. And of course the last 3 songs, Unquiet Slumber for the Sleepers, In That Quiet Earth, and Afterglow. They always do that the transition from In That Quiet Earth and Afterglow in their live performances. Really awesome, fucking memorable. Love that stuff. And Afterglow is a tour de force. Everybody sings along to that one. Beautiful lyric, epic, great album. Love the record. Check it out. Number 5, Duke. Yeah, I love Duke. I really do love Duke. I think the production on it is fantastic. The drumming on it is fantastic. The keyboard tones on this record, especially Behind the Lines, is fantastic. Those beautiful, quiet moments like in the beginning of Duchess with the drum machine and the keys doing swells and swells back. It just paints a picture. This album meant a lot to me after high school and I was starting to go to work, and I really related to those feelings of isolation and loneliness. with the things that was going on in my life at the time. Duke Suite on here, which consists of Behind the Lines, Duchess, guide vocal, Turn On Again, Duke's Travels, Duke's End. Masterpiece. Rivals Supper's Ready. It really does. Because, I mean, the melodic phrasing that they introduce, the different passages they introduce, like the beginning of Duke's Travels is just amazing. When it comes back in with guide vocal, it's like an otherworldly experience. It's just the sounds going everywhere. Tony Banks doing up and down on the keyboards, and Mike Rutherford doing some crazy guitar work. It's just awesome. Some of the songs here, though, are kind of half-baked. I think Man of Our Times is pretty, unfinished. The band will tell you that, which is a shame because that song has a lot of potential to be something really great. And they do the same two things with that song for the entire song. But the production really carries that song. Songs like Misunderstanding and Please Don't Ask are great pop songs, but they really should have belonged with Phil Collins' Face Value record. I don't really see them working with Genesis. And Misunderstanding sounds like other songs too much, like that one Led Zeppelin song. Alone Tonight is a pretty okay, rock ballad. Cul-de-sac is pretty cool, though. People don't like it. I'm like, why? It's like a 5-minute fucking prog epic all into one. It just bangs in and bangs out. Love that song. I mean, as a whole, when you listen to this thing all the way through, it's beautiful. It's cold. It has some really amazing keyboard tones. Phil Collins is finally the singer we know him to be, with the great power and the great emotion that he gives. It's a great record. Number 5. But I think the record that came after it was better. Number 3, Abacab. Wait. I know, people. I know. It's what? It has Whodunit on it. Yeah, Whodunit sucks. Yes, it does. But everything else on here is worth listening to. Yeah, it is. They have their new producer, Hugh Padgham, come in and sometimes ruins the fucking sound by squashing them, compressing them too much, not letting them breathe enough. Some songs in here are just amazing. Abacab, of course, is a classic, rock radio song. However, the last 2 minutes of just the keyboard doing nothing. It's funny, every time I listen to that song and it ends and I'm like, and the award for worst keyboard solo goes to Tony Banks. I do that. It's funny, it's way better live. I feel like a lot of these songs on Abacab sound better live because the production just doesn't suck the life out of everything. No Reply at All, I really like. The horns are really fun. That bridge section with Phil Collins singing, maybe deep down inside, I'm trying for no one else but me. Beautiful stuff. And just a really great Mike Rutherford bass line, if you didn't notice in that track. Really complicated. Really good, though. Me and Sarah Jane, which is this great idea of let's use this sort of same beat in the drums and just try to build the instrumental around the drums. An amazing song with a lot of different passages and a lot of cool, dancey, funky parts, where it's like, we had a special thing going, me and Sarah Jane. Second half, it gets pretty crazy. I love that song. Keep It Dark with this really cool sort of groove that goes on and the keyboards that sort of brings it in. The riff is annoying sometimes. I feel like Mike Rutherford should have evolved it some way, but the rest of the song is just fantastic. The bridge is great. The chorus is great. The pre-chorus is great. The I wish that I could really... Good stuff. Dodo Lurker, fucking awesome. Everybody loves Dodo Lurker for good reason. It's huge. It's grand. It has the worst synth tone of all time with the... Fuck you, Tony Banks. Great song, though. Great singing, especially the ending, with the Hero Brown. And just how it expands. Awesome stuff. Love Dodo Lurker. Really, really great song with some really cool synth parts, except that fucking terrible part. Whodunit is pretty bad. They were trying to be really experimental, using the worst synth tone they could get. Why? If you know it sounds bad, why? What's funny is this song actually works a lot better live. There's a lot more energy. Mike Rutherford plays the drums live, and it's fucking hilarious. And Phil Collins sort of acts out this guy who's getting interrogated by the police. He's like, I didn't do it. Man on a Corner, which is that beautiful drum machine going on, that drum machine loop, and Phil Collins singing really soft, and he expands, and when the drums come in, it's like, you and me. A lot of catchy melodies throughout this whole record, really. And the last two songs people don't like for some reason. In my opinion, they're like some of the best songs on the record. like it or not, with this great groove. Great stuff. And like it or not, great melodies and great keyboard. Another record which has one of my favorite intros, where it's Tony Banks playing, you know, those broken up chords, and Mike Rutherford doing and then it just kind of opens up, and Phil Collins playing his. It's really interesting in that chorus. They'll put another record on. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's really experimental and new for them. Yeah, number 4 is Abacab. Number 3, Selling England by the Pound. I remember first listening to the song in high school and thinking, holy shit. Phil Collins, man, Steve Hackett, everybody on here is fucking on fire. Classic songs here from front to back. You got Dancing with the Moonlit Night. You got Firth of Fifth. You got Cinema Show. Some of the songs here are not as good as the others. Like, I don't like More Fool Me. After the Ordeal is a fine ender, but didn't really need it, I think, in my opinion. I Know What I Like is fun. I Know What I Like. I love when they play live and they introduce the stagnation melody. That's really cool. Firth of Fifth. I mean, everybody talks about Firth of Fifth. I mean, Steve Hackett's guitar solo, Tony Banks' piano intro, the lyrics, you know, constant change. Classic song, top 5. My personal favorite, Dancing with the Moonlit Night. Steve Hackett playing some amazing, amazing guitar, man. Holy shit. You know, everybody talks about this album a lot. There is one blight, I would say, on it, and blight I use very lightly. Battle of Epping Forest. I love the backing track on it. However, I do agree with the band that they worked too much on it. Like, they overworked it in the rehearsal studio, because Peter Gabriel's lyrics are too wordy. There's too many words, man. And it's a lot on the senses. For me, the person that stands out here is Steve Hackett. His guitar solos at the end are fucking fantastic. And his really, really interesting guitar delay effects are really cool. His guitar solo at the end is like so awesome. It perfectly closes that song to how chaotic it is anyway. Selling England by the Pound, a classic. Number 2, Nursery Crime. I love this fucking record, let me tell you. Musical Box was like the first song I heard right after listening to Mama from GTA 4. I didn't know that Phil Collins could play like that. I didn't know that he was really a drummer like that. I didn't know that, man, this guy was creating some of the best drums, heavy drums, in the early 70s, before anybody else was doing anything like that. This is the first album with Phil Collins and Steve Hackett on, and they make a damn statement, let me tell you, man. Musical Box, 10 minutes, classic song. Starts out really soft with that Anthony Phillips composition that, you know, he did before he left the band. Steve Hackett's amazing guitar solo. Phil Collins drumming, just galloping along when it starts to pick up that energy. Tony Banks' drive organ. I mean, Mike Rutherford playing on the double string bass, and it's incredible. It's this amazing cacophony of sound that's just so aggressive and so heavy. For this time period, it's like, whoa, you know? The return of the giant hogweed, which I think is like the first instance of guitar tapping on an electric guitar. I love that unison that Steve and Tony Banks play in that intro. Phil Collins just starts in with the cymbals playing really quickly, and it's just an amazing song. Classic songs like Seven Stones, deep, deep lyrics about change, about karma, about fate, you know, amazing, amazing stuff. Harold the Barrel, which is actually like one of the best, like, shorter fun songs that they have, about a dude named Harold, and he's a barrel, and he wants to jump off a roof because, you know, people don't like him, and his mother's down there trying to look up at him with the police and the town folk, and she's like, get down there, if you jumped your father would be very, very, very upset. Everybody around him saying, you know, take a running jump. And at the end, when he actually does jump, and Tony Banks playing those really sorrowful keyboards, man, that song is actually really good. It's funny, but it's really good. The Fountain of Salmacis, the way that the keyboards swell in and the bands start coming in, is, you just peeked into heaven, man. I mean, they tapped into something where you're just like, holy shit. You know, the production is not that great. It's a little muddy, but I'm not gonna lie, I think it works to its advantage here. That ending on Seven Stones is like metal music, dude. Peter Gabriel's vocals, man. I mean, young, singing his heart out. This album is like one of the greatest albums ever. So, and we all know what number one is. If you do, if that's your opinion, but if you were paying attention, you would know what number one is. It's The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. When I first heard this, I guess for a lot of the fans who listen to this too, it transports you to a different world. It transports you to New York, to Broadway. You see into this character called Rail that Peter Gabriel came up with. Peter Gabriel writes all the lyrics on here and conjures up some of the best lyrics I've ever heard. The fly on the windshield on the freeway, the carpet crawlers, the chamber of 32 doors. I need someone to believe in, someone to trust. Back in NYC, who needs illusion of love and affection when you're out walking in the streets with your mainline connection? The band's best performances, Steve Hackett's best solos, Tony Banks' best keyboard tones. One of my favorite solos ever in Slipperman. In the Rapids, when it's super quiet. The song's like not even there. It's like you're about to die, which in the story Rail is. That's what I interpret. He gives himself up for something greater than the life that he had in New York City as a delinquent and as a person who was selfish. He gives his life for his brother, but then he realizes that this isn't my brother. It's actually me. Woo, and the fucking synth that just... And then it just explodes into it, man. And it's just that amazing moment. It ends on such a high note. In the Cage, that's just an amazing, amazing rhythmic beat. Phil Collins, oh my God. My favorite moment when Tony Banks does that crazy swirl up. And Phil Collins' drum fills. Mike Rutherford's bass, the heaviest of their records. An amazing concept. Every single song on here is warranted. 4 sides of music on vinyl, 2 CDs. People say the second disc is not as strong as the first disc. I disagree. I think the second disc is a lot more experimental. It has a lot more of the interesting melodic ideas. It transports you to a different place because that's what's going on in the story, you know. Braille basically dies in any way, and the rest of it is just his purgatory state, going along and lustfulness and Slipperman, and it's an amazing concept. I hope they make a movie. They were going to make a movie in the 80s, 82 I think it was, but somebody needs to pick it up because this could be like one of the greatest artful movies of all time. The production on here is just so dark, so heavy, so experimental. This album, every time I listen to it, just blows me away. I have a poster of it, like this sort of canvas poster, next to my studio setup, next to my exit door. So whenever I leave, that's the last thing I see. Whenever I sit down, that's the thing that I see. You know, this album changed the way I listen to music, listen to the way that I write music, listen to the way that I feel music. An amazing record. Everybody needs to listen to this. Take 2 hours out of your day to listen to this. There is, you know, one gripe with the album though. Tony Banks said that the lyrics are kind of overshadowing the music. You can't really listen to the songs by themselves. And that's a pretty genuine grievance. He's pretty right. You know, this is one of those albums that you need to sit down, take 2 hours out of your day and listen to all the way through. You can't pick and choose the songs because the lyrics are so out there and the structures are so out there. Tony Banks doesn't like this album, even though this is his best stuff. Mike Rutherford doesn't like this album, even though this is his best stuff. Steve Hackett likes the record. Great, because Steve Hackett does a fantastic job. There's a lot of guitar on the record, but, you know, he's not mixed in that high, which is a shame. Peter Gabriel loves this record, saying it's the best thing ever done. I agree. Phil Collins loves the music on it, even though he has no idea what the story's about. He hasn't even bothered to read the fucking story material. But yeah, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway will go down as the best rock opera, better than The Wall, better than Tommy. Really should be made into a film. And that's my list. The Gen Z perspective on Genesis. I loved Genesis, man. Genesis for me are top 5 band, really close to being number 1. You know, I'm still kind of teetering. I'm starting to like Marillion a lot. I'm really starting to like, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire a lot. Genesis are just so great. They've really had an amazing progression as a band, and every era of Genesis has something good, except Calling All Stations. But yeah, let me know what you think of my list. Talk to me about it. Let's have a conversation. I want to hear what you have to say. This has been Anthony, watching my video. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the links in the description. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.